Welcome to Watercolor Gathering Catamount Trail. Here I am, I'm wetting the paper because I'm going to make the sky and the background trees in a into wet technique. So I'm wetting the paper completely, and then in a moment I'll be adding some ultramarine blue, darker at the top of the page, and going lighter. And then I'm taking a paper towel and just dabbing out some clouds in the distance. And then the paint is running down the page. And now I'm mixing up some Hooker's Green Light and Paynes Gray, adding that to the background trees on both sides of the trail, and drying it a little so it doesn't spread any further. Then in a moment I'm going to add some more intense of same mixture, Hooker's Green Light and Paynes Gray. And then as it dries, I'm adding a little salt to those trees just to give the impression of snow on those trees in the distance. Then when it's completely dry, you can brush the salt off. And now I'm laying in some lines just to give me some idea where the tree lines on either side of the trail are going to go. And then this is Paynes Gray, very light mixture of Paynes Gray that I'm putting in the road in the background on the left. And then in a moment I'm going to start to lay in the first layer of trees on either side of the far end of the trail. I'm using a fairly small round brush with a good tip and putting in some very pale Paynes Gray for the background trees. And then I'm moving to my rigger brush with a little bit darker or more intense color, Paynes Gray, to put in some more trees. And now that's drying, I'm scraping out some with an X-Acto knife just to give some impression of snowy trees or even some birch trees in that tree line. And now again, there's more trees going in, and this is going to take a little bit. And now I'm going to further define the trees in the background, in the sky, more in the sky, just using a pale wash of Paynes Gray to put in some detail, and then just mopping it up so that you have an idea of trees in the background. And now on the left-hand side of the trail there is some shrubs and stuff. So I'm using a rigger brush on the side of it to give some scratchy details of some low-lying shrubs, and then some more sort of branches coming up out of them. And I'm using Paynes Gray, but I'm also adding some burnt sienna in there just to add a little bit different color, and putting that up further into the tree line. But I have to put that in first so that I can put the trees in the front of it. And then on the other side I'm putting in some shadow with some mixture of royal ultramarine blue and Paynes Gray, and the same under the trees on the other side, and a little bit more shadow under there of those trees. And then I can start putting some trees in the background on the right hand side where that shadow is. And because you have to put the ones in the background first before you put the foreground trees in. And here I am starting with the foreground trees. And these will get gradually larger as you get it nearer to the foreground. As you can see, those are much darker than the ones in the background. And here I am again putting in a light wash of Paynes Gray on those background trees to help sort of give the idea of more branches in those trees in the background. So to do the trees in the foreground, I've switched to a number 4 script brush, which holds a lot more paint, so it's easier to do the trees in the foreground. And as you can see, like on the right hand side in the foreground, I've put a slant to those trees, so it gives the impression that snow falls off to the side. And now on the left-hand side foreground, there's a tree that's fallen and curved over the side of the snowbank. And then on the right-hand side, there will be a fallen tree that's been cut. And so I'm going to put those in now. And as you can see, I turn my paper a lot. I find the easiest way to paint a relatively straight line. And here goes in the tree that had been cut so that the trail was clear. And there's a couple right there. Now I'm using my rigger brush to put in some scrub that's showing through the snow on the snow banks on either side, and then my micron permanent marker to put in some fine branches that and little trees that are starting to grow out of the snow on either side of the trail. And then once I get those little branches in, I will go in with some paint on my rigger brush and put in some leaves. These will be birch saplings, and birches tend to keep their leaves in the winter but turn a really pretty golden brown. And there's the leaves going on. And just some more um, details in the background, just to add some shadow in the background. And now I'm going to give some form to the snow. So first of all, I'm going to put in some ultramarine blue shadow and then feather it out towards the left-hand side. And so it gives the impression that there's a bank of snow on that side. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side, but it won't be so dark because that's more in the sunlight. Then I'm again feathering it out and doing like a curved effect with my brush stroke there, just to give the feel of the snowbank on either side. And there's the snowbank on the other side, but a little less color because that's in the sunlight. And then I'm going to add some kind of dirt shadows to the snow coming out from the tree line using the side of my rigger brush and then blending it with my finger. And now I'm using my number 4 script brush again, no, actually my rigger brush, and I'm putting in the shadows of the trees, ultramarine blue, and I make it kind of go down the slope and then straight across to the other side of the trail, and then getting it lighter and lighter as we go into the distance. And now for some of the final details, I'm using some white acrylic to put the snow on the branches. That's one of the fallen trees on the left-hand side. And then I'm going to put some on that fallen tree on the other side. And that fallen tree is kind of behind that tree in the foreground. So if you see, I'll leave a spot there where that tree is in the foreground. And then I'll put snow on the branches in the trees. And then with the white acrylic in the background, I'm also putting in some idea of branches with snow on in the background. Hope you enjoyed this and hope it was helpful. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video. Leave any comments that you might have below. Thanks a lot for joining me.